We call the meeting of the Winterville Planning and Zoning Board for February 17, 2025 to order. Welcome to all of our board members and those in the audience here tonight. It's been a while since I've seen many of you. Our last meeting, we were having snow, and then here we are on the eve of possibly seeing it again. So maybe it's us, guys. We have one excused absence request. Okay, Dominique Cunningham has asked for a request. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion, is absence be excused.
It's moved and properly second. All those in favor, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, likewise? No. You've had a chance to review the agenda. Give a chance for you to review for a second time. Then we'll entertain a motion as the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion that the agenda as stated.
Second.
Okay, moved and properly second. All those in favor, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, use likewise sign. New business, staff.
Good evening, Planning and Zoning Board. We have 4 items on the agenda tonight. 3 of them are rezonings and 1 of them is a preliminary plat. The first 2 rezonings that we're going to look at tonight is going to be the Mellon and Neal rezoning. So these are submitted by the same applicant, going to be under the same development window, but there were 2 applications with 2 different property owners. So we're going to review it all together. Then we're going to have a public hearing for each one, or a public hearing session for each one, and then a vote for each one as well. So again, first we are going to look at the rezonings of the Mellon and Neal properties. John Thomas of Thomas Engineering is the applicant. This is located on the southeastern corner of Old Tar Road and Laurie Ellis Road, and I'll show you that a little bit more clearly on a map right here in a second as well. The Mellon property is 46.98 acres, while the Neal property is 45.81 acres, so it's roughly about 100 acres in total. This is an AR, or agricultural residential zoned district. The request is R10 conditional district, with the condition being that 10% of the site will remain open space upon development. Notification was placed on this site January 9th. Adjacent property owners and those within 100 foot were also notified through a mailing on February 5th. These are the 2 properties. Again, to the north is the Mellon property. This is Laurie Ellis Road running east to west. North to south right here is Old Tar Road. The Neal property is just to the south of the Mellon property, and just to give a little bit of understanding and context where we are as well, this is the Brookfield subdivision catacorner to this development. This is the meets and bounds map for the rezoning. Looking at the existing land use of this site, so both the Mellon and the Neal site are both vacant properties right now. As you see to the south, you've got a lot of vacant property as well. On the western side, you've got some rural, residential, single-family detached, kind of along Old Tar Road, but for the most part, a lot of vacant and agricultural land there as well. We're actually expecting to probably see some rezonings come in with some of these sites as well. There is some land for sale right here, and there has been some significant interest. To the north, there's also just north of Laurie Ellis Road, currently some vacant land. Of course, we're getting significant interest kind of in this whole area of town anyway. And then again, catacorner to this development, you have some single-family residential in the form of some fairly dense neighborhoods. R10 mostly is what you're seeing in that area. If we're looking at the current zoning, of course, the 2 sites that we're looking at today, the Neal and the Mellon property, are both agricultural residential, or AR. To the east of this site, you're looking at ER as well. Again, just as mentioned, to the west of this site, you're looking AR2. We're probably, again, seeing some rezonings come fairly soon on those. To the north of this project, still seeing AR. You do have commercial neighborhood just along Old Tar Road to the north as well, which could bring a small commercial development in this area. And then single-family residential in the form of R10 catacorner to this site. You do have some R20 as you get to the southernmost area of our jurisdiction right here. These are ETJ sites that are on septic systems, though. We're looking at the future land use. All of this yellow is suburban residential. You do have some urban neighborhood just to the north of this site. At the very hard corner, you have neighborhood center. So the reason why neighborhood center was placed on this intersection was mostly due to the unknown of what this site may be once it's developed. So the base site, again, is suburban residential, in which when the plan was created, the creators said there could potentially be some very, very small commercial in the corner there as well. Looking at suburban residential, we are looking at primarily larger lot, single-family detached residential. Diving a little bit closer into that, again, larger lot, low-density, single-family residential. We're typically looking at R20, R15, or R12.5 on this site. Now, our future land use character area also suggests that R10 and R8 may also be considered if additional open space or amenities are provided. The applicant here has placed a condition onto this rezoning in which 10% of the site must remain open, passive recreation space for this development, and thus it does meet the character area for suburban residential. Again, uses on this, you're primarily looking at single-family detached residential with sewer service. As always, one of our economic development goals is to reinforce the town's identity as a family-friendly community. And by that, supporting rezonings in areas where the future land use plan suggests residential, either urban neighborhood or suburban residential. We have not received any contacts of concern or support for this project from the community. These two properties are currently vacant agricultural forest land. Though there is significant vacant land surrounding these properties, there are varied uses that already exist in this area, such as the Greenville Montessori School is adjacent to this. The Cotton Barn, which is a wedding venue, is directly adjacent to this as well. Lori Ellis Road, diagonal to this, is Brookfield, a single-family residential neighborhood. And Winterville has experienced a significant amount of interest and growth within this area of Winterville. So staff believes this area is a logical progression for upcoming residential development. The comprehensive land use plan designates this area as suburban residential character area and does support an R10 rezoning with the condition in which a minimum of 10% of the land is to remain open space. Therefore, the request is consistent with the intent and purpose of the comprehensive land use plan and the future land use plan. It is compatible with the existing developments and trends in this area as well. Therefore, staff does recommend the approval of the Mellon and Neal rezoning requests. The Mellon rezoning request includes 46.98 acres. The Neal rezoning request, again, is 45.81 acres, both from agricultural residential to R10 conditional district, in which 10% of the site must remain open space upon development. As a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Board serves as a recommendation to Town Council. Due to the snowstorm, this one has already requested the public hearing be set for March, so we will be seeing this in front of town council in March, in which they will hold a public hearing prior to their decision. If anybody have any questions for staff before we do open up the public hearings again, we're going to open up a separate public hearing for the Neal, separate public hearing for the Mellon, and then a separate vote as well for each of them.
Okay, so that kind of takes me to my question, that we're looking at them together, so my assumption then is that some developer is trying to tie those two lands together and develop them to, I guess.
As a single project, that's correct, yes, sir.
Uniformity, okay. Are there any other questions for staff?
I do have a question, and I feel like this will come up, but I don't want to forget it.
Yes.
Of the 10% that's dedicated for, what is the word we're using?
Open space.
Open space. Is there and I'm not recalling, is there a minimum, if that happens to be broken up, is there a minimum of what the smallest section could be?
No, but there is within the subdivision ordinance a criteria in which you have to set out your open space in order for it to be considered open and recreation space. So therefore, they could not put, if they had a leftover half an acre here and a leftover 3 acres behind somebody's house in the woods, they could not then kind of select all of them and say, oh, we've met the 10% open space. It would have to meet the subdivision ordinance's requirement of open space.
Okay. And to be correct, the 10% is for each. Total of 20 if the goal is.
Correct. So theoretically, if it's a 100-acre site, which is close, then we would be looking at the 10 acres of the entire project, correct. But even if theoretically one of these sites is developed and the other one isn't, the condition is still tied onto the land itself. So even if only half of it was developed, then 10% is still required.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
If there is none, we will now open the floor for public comments for the Mellon. To those who may have comments, please state your name, your address for the council, and Don.
I'm John Thomas. I'm with Thomas Engineering.
Just a second, Don, will you be timing, keeping that time? Got the time, okay? All right, sir. Just state your name and your address again.
I'm John Thomas. I'm with Thomas Engineering out of New Bern. I'm the applicant on this. I don't really have much to add to what Stephen said. We are going to develop these 2 tracks together. Any one of the 2 tracks by itself doesn't really lend itself to developing individually. The Neal track has a gas line that passes through it that cuts off the northern half from the southern half. The Mellon track is oddly shaped and also has a blue line stream that comes across it, so there's challenges on both of those tracks. So my client decided to tie up both of those pieces of property and we'll develop it as a single project. And when we're looking at the different types of zonings in there, we felt R10 was the best fit. It pretty much mirror what we've done in the Villa Ground development here in Winterville with those types of lot sizes and the types of houses that are going to go in there. We do know we have the 10% open space that we got to adhere to, and so we're planning to do that as well. Other than that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. We've not done any conceptual planning or anything with this right now. We'll do that after we get the rezoning done. But we're hopeful for the R10 zoning on these 2 tracks. Thank you.
Any other public comments regarding the Mellon? There being none, staff, what do you want us to enter a vote for this one, or you want to hear the public comment on?
Let's go ahead for the vote on this one.
Okay. All right, so we've had the presentation from staff, we've had public comment. What is the pleasure of the board regarding the rezoning request for Mellon?
I make a motion to approve the rezoning.
I'm sorry, we're gonna go through the consistency first and the reasonableness and then the overall vote. There should be, for all three rezonings, laid out, and on the top of it, it'll say either Mellon, Neal, or the last one.
So with regard to consistency, this, according to staff, is consistent with the Winterville comprehensive land use. The reasonableness, the rezoning is reasonable. And it is also harmonious with the surrounding land use.
Three motions, right?
Historically, we've done three motions. You could technically do just one full motion. Either way, it is fine. Whichever one is kind of easiest.
I make a motion for all three in an affirmative.
A second.
Now, you want to vote on this and then the request for the rezoning.
So when you're saying all three in the affirmative, you're stating that the rezoning is consistent with the comprehensive land use plan, it is reasonable and in the public interest for the area, and therefore you're recommending approval of the rezoning. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So therefore, we would only need one vote.
Okay. Having considered the reasonableness, consistency, and all items, we've received a motion that was said. Did we get a second?
I'll second. Oh, that's right, he did second.
You get that done? All right. All those in, been moved and properly second. All those in favor, use the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, use the likewise sign. Now we'll open up public comment for the Neal rezoning request. Is there any public comments? Any questions for the developers? There being no public comments, with regard to consistency, reasonableness, regard to consistency.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I make a motion that I find that it is reasonable, and it is consistent, and I recommend that it be rezoned. Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly second. All those in favor, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, use likewise sign. Next item.
Okay, our next item again is another rezoning. We are looking at the Stella Little property. The Stella Little property's applicant is Lennar Carolinas LLC. This is at the northeastern corner of Davenport Farm Road and Reedy Branch Road. This is neighboring Pitt Community College to the south, Sam's Club to the west. It's a 25.055 acre site. Now, you may look and see that the site's slightly bigger, not to get too deep into the weeds, but a tiny portion of this site will be recombined with the church, so that's why the rezoning acreage is not exactly the same as the parent parcel. Current zoning district for this is agricultural residential. The applicant is requesting an R6 conditional district in which the conditions require single-family detached development, a minimum of 10% of the net site designated as open space, and a dedication of a 70-foot right-of-way for future interconnectivity for Dr. Fulford Road and Reedy Branch Road. And we'll look at that a little bit closer right here in a second as well. Notification was placed on this site on February 6th. Adjacent property owners and those within 100 foot were notified as well through a mailing on February 5th. Again, this is the site that we're looking at right here. We've got Davenport Farm Road, east to west on the southern side of this. North to south, you have Reedy Branch Road right here. And then you do have Winterville Parkway right here. So this is Sam's Club, Pitt Community College right here, the Farmstead project right there. This is an image of the rezoning map. Looking at existing land use, it is surrounded by a mixture of uses. As you can see to the north, you've got Pitt Community College institutional. You've got fairly heavy commercial or regional commercial to the east of this site. You've got Pitt Community College. I mean, you do have Pitt Community College classes over there, but you've got Sam's Club as well as ABC store. You've got a tractor supply store as well, and some other restaurants and things just to the east of this site. To the west of this site is currently vacant, although we have been reviewing a fairly large single-family residential development on that site as well. To the south, mostly vacant right here. You've got a few rural farmhouses to the south as well. Looking at the current zoning, again, this is surrounded by a mixture of uses. Currently agricultural residential. To the north, office and institutional, of course, Pitt Community College. You've got general business to the east of this site. To the west of this site, you've got R8 conditional district. Agricultural residential to the south. Again, they are requesting an R6 conditional district for this site. Looking at the future land use plan, the base is requesting urban neighborhood for this site. Now it does have a commercial overlay on this site. Again, this is one of the very unique sites that we were looking at when creating this plan, and kind of said, depending on when this site is developed, it could be a variety of different things. We were confident that urban neighborhood was most likely, although a commercial overlay was proposed there just in case commercial did make sense at that site at the time. Again, we're looking at urban neighborhood, primarily medium-sized lots with single-family residential. R6, it is within an urban neighborhood with the 10% being proposed. We're looking at the urban neighborhood character area, somewhat higher density, predominantly single-family detached residential housing. Again, they are proposing an R6 conditional district, which aligns with one of the potential zonings. So the urban neighborhood suggests R12-5, R10, or R8. It also suggests that neighborhood business, R6, or multifamily are potentially potential zones there as well. And with this, they have added open space to add to show that this is going to be a quality neighborhood development that will transition from the R8 to the commercial to the east as well. Looking here as well, small lot, single family residential dominates with approximately 6,000 to 10,000 square foot lots. Again, they are promising single-family detached as a condition. They are also promising 10% of the site to remain open space as well. One of the other conditions that we were discussing earlier is Dr. Fulford Road. The applicant is proposing a 70-foot wide right-of-way that would go from Dr. Fulford Road to Reedy Branch Road. This is Fire Tower Road. NCDOT and the state, we have as transportation planners have been looking at this connection for years and years and years. We've called it Fire Tower Extension. It's had a few different names, mostly been referred to as a Fire Tower Extension. Again, taking Dr. Fulford Road through this site and somehow taking it to Reedy Branch. The main purpose of this is to free up the significant traffic that goes right between Pitt Community College campus. So Pitt Community College, as if you've driven there lately, in this back area is really where they're starting to add their newer buildings because that's where they have the space. You have an open cut ditch on Reedy Branch Road, so it makes it very difficult for people to utilize the campus as a campus because it's got a significant road, Reedy Branch, going straight through it. When this applicant came to the town discussing this property, one of my major concerns was to keep in consideration of this Fire Tower Road expansion for one day, so that we wouldn't have to tear down buildings in the future and things like that. And the applicant was extremely understanding, and they volunteered to propose this 70-foot right-of-way in that location. Of course, our goals are always to reinforce the town's identity as a family-friendly community, and in that, supporting rezonings that are proposing urban neighborhood or suburban residential as a character area. This is a concept map or sketch plan that the applicant has submitted. I always want to be careful with the town that this is, again, just a concept. This has not been reviewed by Town of Winterville staff or our technical review committee for adherence to our ordinances. However, this is kind of an idea of what the applicant is thinking in this area, and just kind of giving you an idea of what this could eventually develop into if this is approved. We have not received any letters of support or concern for this project thus far. Staff's evaluation. The Stella Little site is surrounded by a variety of uses. Again, Pitt Community College to the north, Sam's Club and other regional shopping to the east, Farmstead, which is a fairly large single-family detached product to the west. And the comprehensive plan envisioned a variety of directions that this site could have taken. This proposal does follow the recommendations of the comprehensive land use plan. It requires single-family detached and dedicates a minimum of 10% of the site to remain open space as conditions. They have proposed a right-of-way dedication, which is a desire of both Pitt Community College, well, all of Pitt Community College, Town of Winterville, and NCDOT. And the location of the proposal is really unique as well. This is extremely walkable site for people who may want to live in this area, whether they're walking for restaurants in the area, entertainment in the area, education, employment. They may work at Pitt Community College or Sam's Club. So it is a extremely walkable and I believe a highly desirable location for residential. I think it's a really unique product for this site. Staff does recommend the approval of the Stella Little rezoning, as it is consistent with the intent and purpose of the comprehensive land use plan and the future land use map. It's compatible with the existing development trends in the surrounding area as well. Again, We recommend approval from agricultural residential to R6 conditional district, with the conditions being that the permitted uses shall be limited to single-family detached residential. A minimum of 10% of the net site shall be dedicated as open space. And at the time of construction drawing approval, a 70-foot right-of-way for future extension of Dr. Fulford Road shall be dedicated. Again, Planning and Zoning is making a recommendation to Town Council tonight. A public hearing will be scheduled in the future at a future Town Council meeting, and Town Council will eventually hold a public meeting prior to any decision. Are there any questions for town staff prior to public comments?
You said part of that would be absorbed by the church. Did you identify that area for us? What part of that would be absorbed by the church?
This shows this one kind of shows a decent area. Well, you can't see it there. So this is the church right now. The property lines are probably almost right up against the walls of the church. So they are giving them a little bit of space so that they can have some land right around the church. So it is literally up against the, I believe it's called Reedy Branch Free Will Baptist Church right there.
And so now that will change the site map for that particular church, or that?
It would eventually, yes, sir. It would be called a recombination map, in which that portion of land would switch from the ownership in this tan area to the church.
Stephen.
Yes, sir.
Now, I recall back when the Farmstead project, when those folks came, and a lot of folks came to talk about the items that they had a lot of concerns about. One of them was traffic over there on that road. Has DOT done or planned anything in the near future to address some of this traffic? Because we denied the other folks an R6 rezoning because of the tremendous amount of traffic. That was one of the reasons, not all the reasons, but one of them. And so now we got another R6 in this same intersection being proposed, and so we're wondering if DOT has done anything for future site upgrades to control some of this traffic.
I can kind of answer that. So I am in the middle of meetings right now with NCDOT in regards to this Reedy Branch kind of desire to one day reroute Reedy Branch traffic. And that is something that we have we've been talking about it forever, but we've really heavily started conversation in January of this year. So it's really fresh that we've been having these conversations. We've actually shared this image right here of their desires with the whole group. So it's a conversation that we're having to try to figure out how we can alleviate the traffic again going through Reedy Branch Road. With the Farmstead project, there had been some traffic impact studies and recommendations required for that project that will be implemented if and when that project ever kicks off. This one will not actually go in front of DOT as a review until we would go to construction drawings, and that's when NCDOT would review the site to see if there's any additional requirements that they would need, whether it's turning lanes or expansions for Reedy Branch.
Are there any other questions for staff? There being none, we'll now open the floor for public comments regarding the Stella project, Stella Little rezoning request. Anyone desiring to make comments, we ask that you come to the podium, state your name, your address for the board.
Hey, good evening. I'm Levi Smith, Senior, and I'm the chairman of the Deacon Board at the Reedy Branch Original Free Will Baptist Church that we're speaking about here today, the Stella Land. which is right behind our church. And we have been informed, and we've met on several times with the membership, and we are in support of rezoning because with the plan they have, it'll be 76 houses built in there. And of course, there'll be opportunities for us to gain some of those people in our church and members, and we look forward to that. And so we're here to support that position from the church. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public?
Good evening. Thank you for having us. I'm Sarah Van Every. I'm with McAdams, and I'm here to represent the project and Lennar. Just really want to thank you for the time. Stephen, I really want to thank you for the presentation, the information that was covered. I really don't have much to add. I think Stephen's done a great job of covering it. Again, I want to thank you for the time, and we're here to look for your support with this rezoning. Again, going for requesting the R6 conditional use district, providing a minimum of 10% open space, limiting it to the single-family detached use, and continuing to work with staff, DOT, and Pitt Community College in regards to addressing those transportation issues, and have tried to preemptively address that with the right-of-way dedication continuing Dr. Fulford extension at the time of construction drawings. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Any questions for the developer?
I have a question on I could have asked Stephen this, but or you, either one, but looking at the map, the exits are only from the neighborhood would only be on Reedy Branch, correct?
There's access on Davenport Farm Road proposed.
Okay.
It would be reviewed at the time of subdivision plan for consistency.
Got you. Because I don't see the Dr. Fulford Road in the next 20 years, honestly.
Any other questions? Any other public comments? Okay, we're asked to review for consistency, reasonableness,
Mr. Chairman, make a motion that I find it reasonable, find it consistent with the planning, the layout of the planning, and I make a motion that we rezone it.
A second.
That's proposed.
okay? We received the motion and properly second, and time to consider. Those in favor, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, use the likewise voting sign.
Aye.
One opposed. Next agenda item.
Okay, our final agenda item tonight is a preliminary plat, Carroll Crossing, Section 4. So the applicant for Carroll Crossing is O'Kane and Associates. This is located on Church Street. It's northeastern corner of Jeremy Lane and Church Street. It's a 4.193 acre site that is zoned R8 conditional district. The condition is that all duplexes shall have a brick facade. Just to give a little bit of an overview of this site, a special use permit was obtained for single family attached at this site on July 16, 2024, which is required for single family attached in the R8 district. They're proposing 23 units in total. So 11 of the lots will be used for duplexes or two family, and one lot will be used for single family detached. This is an image of the site overlaid on an aerial. So you have the Robert Company just to the west of the site, the Roberts Company site that's on Church Street. You've got Carroll Crossing's existing subdivision right here. You've got some town offices right here. You've got Lori Ellis Extension to the north of the site as well. You also have some daycares just to the north of the site. This is an image of the preliminary plat. Again, all of these will be duplex lots, all 11 of them, except for this guy right here. There was not enough square footage, so they will have to use this lot as a single-family detached. So again, 23 units on this project. Staff recommends approval of Carroll Crossing Section 4 preliminary plat as it has been reviewed and received technical review committee approval. Of course, if approved, Carroll Crossing Section 4 will then submit construction drawings before constructing the site and eventually a final plat for this site. Are there any questions for me? We also have the applicant here if you have any questions of the designer as well.
Are there any questions for staff or the designer? Thank you. All right, you've heard the presentation by staff. What is the pleasure of the board regarding the preliminary plat for Carroll Crossing?
Motion to approve preliminary plat.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor, use your voting sign of aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, use the likewise sign. None opposed. All right, moving right along. Staff report.
I really don't have anything. We are staying really busy at the town, seeing a lot of interest, especially residential developers that are that are calling, asking, looking for land. So seeing a ton of interest right now, always a good thing. If anybody knows of anybody looking for any projects, send them our way. But if anybody has any questions, always give me a call or an email at the office. Happy to help. So,
Are there any updates with, and this is opening comments for the board, any updates on projects that have started or that we've recommended to town council that was approved?
So we've got Villa Grand coming really soon. The last phase of that, we'll see a final plat on that pretty soon. That'll be the next lots on the ground. Eli's Ridge is starting to put some houses on the last phase that we final platted over there. Same with Cornerstone. Cornerstone is starting to develop the last few lots that they have. We are really kind of at a point right now where we just need more lots on the ground. The market is still really strong, but also we just are lacking residential lots here in Winterville right now for the demand. So we're trying. We've got a lot of projects in review right now, but not a lot of dirt turning necessarily right now. I think we're gonna see probably at the end of the year some more probably lots being created for the ground, but it's gonna be a while before we get enough lots to start meeting some of the demand around here for sure.
And I see that some of where Lowe's Foods, we have a couple of new businesses that have come up since our last.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a med spa opening there, Club Pilates, a Hot Works, which is a hot workout place. Couple burrito place, of course, and there's been some other rumors. Luckily, oh, this is kind of a cool one. Badcock, as you guys know, was is closing Badcock. This store in town, believe it or not, was not a corporate store. And the guy who owned it said that this location was such a good producing location that they're gonna change the name and just try it under a different product name. So this guy came up from South Carolina and met with us, did all of this kind of review of what he needed to do. And yeah, he said it was a really good performing site, so they're gonna give it a shot under another name, which is really cool, so.
All right, any other comments from board members?
I got one question, and this is unusual a little bit. Do you have, who makes the decision as far as mailboxes in these new neighborhoods?
So that
Is that post office?
It is the post office.
The reason I ask is because Cornerstone,
They required a cluster at the end.
why? Because the
It's
entire
insane.
neighborhood is one mailbox per house. Anyway, the post office does this, what you're saying.
It is. Yes, yeah, they require any new sections to require a cluster box. It's,
Any movement towards, frog level?
not that, there's been some rumblings of some projects kind of over that way, but nothing's been submitted to the town, I'll say that. Yeah, we haven't seen anything yet, but
Any movement of town utilities towards that, direction?
not that I'm aware of, but I would definitely need to put you in touch with our Public Works Department for that one.
All right.
I have a question, Stephen. The
Yes, sir.
Hunsucker proposal was denied by town council?
It was. The Hunsucker proposal was denied by town council. The Hunsuckers reached out to the adjacent neighborhood, Colonial Woods, and we scheduled a public kind of just conversation here in this room. Was it last week? Week before last. I thought it was a really good meeting. So the Hunsuckers, along with the neighborhood, sat down, kind of expressed their desires and feelings on both sides, have since had follow-up meetings to help kind of meet in the middle of, you understand I probably can't do R20 size lots, but I do understand that you don't want me to have R10 size lots too. So they're working together really well, and it's exciting to see. I think we're probably going to be seeing a rezoning in the next few months for that property as well.
Any other comments from the board members? All right, there being none, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
And moved and properly second. All those in favor, use your voting sign aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, you're welcome to stay.
Yeah, I walked out and I glanced and I said, actually, I didn't say that. I said take it anyway, but somebody needed it though. I didn't know. Yeah. Well, I appreciate the question.
Oh, no, it's just.
That's really.
I know it.
Hey, how you doing?
Well, even when you talk
Things
about
take
something.
time.
Okay.
Look at,
I didn't know that. Yeah. They moved way out door.
No, honestly, anytime.
It's like, let me go get self-checkout.
Yeah,
My wife likes it.
I like that analogy. I use it, but I don't like it. Yeah, and it's a little No, I agree. I live in a residential, I can see it in an apartment. Yeah. But I don't think it's appropriate. Like a residential, I don't.
I went into Lowe's.
Lowe's, the home improvement.
Yeah. They don't even have cashiers in there.
You know what, I was just in there today, and I don't think I realized that.
You don't have a choice. I mean, you can go all the way to the other end where they sell lumber. You pay so much, but I went in there.
Oh, wow, you know what, I did not realize
wife
it.
gets it.
Now, they're super helpful though.
They are.
They're right on top of you. 'Cause
There's
I
somebody
remember
there.
thinking, why are you standing right there?
But I'm like,
Yeah.
anyway, it's just me.
No, it's not,
probably-
it's not, I tell you, some of these things we gotta, cause you know, there was such a hoopla about, maybe 6 months ago, across the nation, people were crazy, I mean, just hating these self-checkouts. And it sounded like they were really taking them away. But it sounds like people have kind of evened out, you know?
They're saving money.
Well, I think they're losing so